Right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Spill the Tea podcast, and with me, Aptanta Faiz, as the first member of this group, and then I also have two other members of this group. The second one is ALbertus Yulian Philberta.
Hello.
And the third one, hello Bertus. The third one is Novenando Januar.
Hello.
Yeah, and today or tonight we have a very special guest all the way from the state, the United States of America. So please welcome Faith.
Hello.
Hello Faith. Hello Faith. How are you doing, Faith?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing great. We're doing great. Thank you very much for coming to our podcast, Faith.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All right, so Faith, so the theme of our podcast, we're going to talk about lifestyle, but then specifically, we're going to talk about American lifestyle as an university student in America, right? So as we all aware that we're all university students. Me and Bertus and Noven, we're from the same university, which is Udayana University, also the same major, which is English Literature. But then, could you please introduce yourself to the viewers and listeners, Faith?
Yeah, so I'm from California, San Jose to be specific, but I attend school at the University of Oregon. It rains a lot there. And I'm majoring in education and minoring in women and gender studies.
All right, that's great. That's great. Thank you very much. It's very interesting how different our education system. Very, yeah. All right. So, but then, well, let's get into the topic. How would you describe American lifestyle, Faith?
That's a very broad question. I think, at least comparing it to kind of the lifestyle in Bali, it's quite different in that there is a lot more focus on the individual, I guess. So most people that you see on the street are very focused on, what they have to do for the day and kind of their own goals and their own aspirations and stuff. So it's a lot more focused on being independent and pursuing your own goals versus what I've observed in Bali. I can't speak for all of Indonesia, but for Bali specifically, it seems a lot more community oriented. So, people will say hi to you on the streets, and not that doesn't happen in America, but I think it is more common for, at least for me as a woman, and I'm Asian as well in America, so, well, everywhere, but it is more common for people with weird intentions to say hi to me or be like, oh, where do you live? Where are you from? It is much more alarming, I think, to be approached on the street versus in Bali, it feels very safe because people are just really friendly and genuine, and it feels like everyone's family, it's very community centered.
Yeah, well, I can see where you're going with your points, because as you know that we might be. Some people say that we are very nice to other people, but then that's just makes most of us, or not even most of us, but some of us. But then people are different. So maybe. Also, do you think that American lifestyle has something to do with the Western culture in general? If it's yes or no, please explain why.
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, American culture is Western culture, so I don't know if this is true because I am American and I've been living in America my whole life, but when I think of the American, maybe from Texas or something like that, you think of a cowboy, which to me at least is the epitome of Western culture, is the cowboy with the cow boots and riding a horse and all of that. So I think American culture is definitely Western culture, again with the individualism.
Yeah, I also understand that one. And what about your lifestyle? Do you also live with this American lifestyle, or do you have your own way, your own lifestyle?
I will say, after meeting people in Bali, I realized that, the way I speak and the way that I dress as well is very American. However, I am also Chinese, so I do have a certain element of like Asianness, so um, where I have
Yeah, yeah.
heard about experiences that Balinese people have with like white Americans. It is quite different from how they explain their experience like to me, if that makes sense. My parents are also very Chinese, and so are my grandparents, so in some ways I feel more Asian than American. So I don't know if I always represent the most
Yeah.
average American, if that makes sense, because I'm Asian and because
Yeah, exactly,
it's very Asian.
Okay, the next.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can see. Well, yeah. All right, maybe Bertus, if you want to continue
yeah.
and add some additional interesting questions, that would be nice. Yeah.
For sure, I'd like to ask some questions. So, from the explanation about lifestyles in America and the difference for Balinese in the Bali area. So, what do you think is the perfect lifestyle, depending on you?
Perfect lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like between the like more Indonesian lifestyle and like
Yeah.
more American.
Which one do you think better, or maybe you would like to change something or arrange so that it would make a perfect lifestyle for you?
That's tough. I don't think there necessarily is a right lifestyle, because even if I live out a certain lifestyle that may seem ideal to me, part of lifestyle is not just about you, it's also about like the community that you're interacting with. So it really is hard to compare. I will say that I really like the community aspect. I feel like Bali, it just feels much safer to me. I'm not like afraid of people approaching me on the street, and I'm not as often concerned about like safety issues. However, I also like the encouragement that like American society gives you to like pursue your own goals. There's a lot of talk about like the American dream, right? Which I don't know that I'm necessarily shooting for that, but it also is like really interesting. There's a lot of what's it called, like push to go and like pursue what you're interested in, which I just don't think I've been in Bali long enough to know the kind of ideas centered around careers and stuff like that. But I also do think that Bali is very much centered, like it is special in that it is very centered around tourism. However, I think that's also that's part of what we're studying in my current program, because I'm studying abroad. But tourism like has taken over in so many ways, and I feel like I do wish that kind of was not as prominent, because I think Bali has so much to offer in terms of culture and tradition, and I have been hearing about the ways that it has been kind of altered or compromised for tourists and for people that are coming in to visit and see some kind of show, which is a little bit disappointing to me, I guess. Which is not the fault of Indonesian people, but I think the nature of Bali is that a lot of what's going on is for the purpose of tourism, if that makes sense.
Okay. So aside from the cultural lifestyle difference, do you think there are any difference like how they eat or how they drink or how they talk to each other in the America and in Bali? How is it happen there in America? Like, is there a different food like they eat, like anything?
I will say I've noticed that it is much easier to be vegan or vegetarian and have different dietary restrictions and still be able to eat a lot of different foods in America, just because I don't know if this is completely true, but this is from my observation. It seems to be a little bit more trendy now because people are talking about veganism becoming the kind of like health benefit. So a lot of people go vegan, vegetarian, there's keto now. People are like gluten-free, sugar-free, dairy-free, just a lot of different frees. But here I find that it's, at least for my friends that are vegetarian, it is a lot harder to find foods to eat, especially when traveling around to different areas. Like I noticed the more touristy areas seem to have a lot of vegetarian and vegan options, but maybe not so much for like the local food, if that makes sense. Another big difference is that I see a lot of people here eating with their hands, which is just not something that's very common in America. I guess we have like a certain, not genre,
we get
but
that a lot.
yeah. Well, like in America, there's like the same thing, but it's called like, it's a group of foods called like finger food. So I don't know who made the rule, but it's like food that's okay to eat with your hands, like chicken nuggets, fries, and stuff like that. But I find that here it's like just like the whole meal, like rice and meat and vegetables and everything.
So, how about you, Noven? Would you like to ask some questions to Faith? You're still muted, by the way.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'm curious to know about which lifestyle suits you the most in terms of work, life, or balance as a university student.
I think, I don't know what suits me the most. I mean, I'm the most used to American culture, I think. And I'm not sure, I'm not sure if I can like speak on like Balinese or like Indonesian culture, because I've been here for almost 4 months, but I feel like that's not enough time to like fully understand the like lifestyle here. I will say that like I do a lot better with more community-centered areas, so I think in that way I feel much safer and much more relaxed when I go out and stuff. I think in America, especially, and you also have to keep in mind I'm an Asian American, so in America, like my experience is different from white people, and there is a certain amount of like judgment towards me as an Asian woman. So in that way, like I have to, in my college town, it's predominantly white as well, so I do have to be careful about like what I say, what I do. You know, walking around at night by myself is really unsafe. And if some like white male were to yell at me, you know, I don't yell back, I just walk away, because you just don't want to confront, you know, especially when I know who I am, I know how people kind of see me. But I do feel very, I guess, I don't feel very isolated here because I'm living with other Asians, and I do feel like there's, again, a strong sense of community, and I feel very safe. That's really nice.
Do you agree that having a good and ideal lifestyle will help you to improve the quality of yourself, like mentally, physically, and financially?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Do you agree that having a good and ideal lifestyle will help you to improve the quality of yourself, for example, mentally, physically, and financially? And could you tell us the reason why?
I think it definitely does, and I mean, there's always that idea of like surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like, right? So if the lifestyle of the community around you changes, I feel like it does greatly influence how you interact with people and the things that you decide to do with your life. And I think it's interesting because I think I feel more comfortable in Asia, and in that way I'm more likely to do more things because I feel like people will take me more seriously. Granted, there's also a very extreme view of Asian women in Asia, right? Where I find that in Asia, like male dominance is like even more prominent. So sorry, I'm totally going off track, but my point is, like, I feel like I'm more likely to be more productive and more outgoing here because I do feel safe, and I feel like in that way I'd be more likely to make more connections than I would in America. Possibly, this is all hypothetical. However, in America, I feel like there is such a push to kind of do what you want to do no matter what anyone says. And I feel like because of that, it's also pretty easy to kind of pursue my own interests and be more productive in that way, because everyone has that kind of understanding, like, oh no, you're doing this for you, like you're trying to get yourself as far ahead as possible. Oh, me too. Like, same, we're in the same situation, just different careers, different schools, different whatever, you know. So again, I don't really know which one's the most ideal for me, but I think having the ideal lifestyle can definitely increase your motivation, which increases everything. I mean, your likelihood to get into jobs, you'll be able to put more effort into it. Your likelihood to get into certain universities because you apply to more of them because you feel more confident and you feel motivated, you know. So I took a class on this. Motivation really affects a lot of different things. So yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Okay. So yeah, last but not least, any advices on managing lifestyle as a university student?
I find that being a student in university can be quite isolating at times, because I think, at least I speak as an American student, so in America, it is very common for this to be like the first time that a student lives away from their parents, and it's like a very new experience. So I think that, like, just finding a good community that and this has to do with the lifestyle as well, that, you know, they have healthy habits and they encourage you to be the best version of yourself and stuff. And also finding a nice environment to work in. I'm very much someone that is productive based on where I am. So if I find a library or coffee shop that I feel like is really cozy, I feel comfortable in, and I feel like it's a space that I can be productive in, there's a lot of nice light, I feel like I can get so much more work done. So I think community, environment, just figuring out what works for you and what doesn't, and being able to narrow that down, because yeah, I think even if you don't have the energy to motivate yourself, if you're around like good and positive people, they can encourage you to, you know?
Right. Thank you, Faith. So I think that's all our question, and I will give it back to Faiz.
Thank you very much, Noven. Wow, that was very insightful. I am very impressed by how our guests answered every and each of our questions. Those answers were absolutely helpful for the viewers and listeners out there. Even though Faith is coming all the way from the America, but then we have such a very, you know, different culture and stuff. But then the key important thing here that has to be underlined is that wherever you live, wherever you are, community is what brings us together. No matter what kind of lifestyle do you follow, what kind of things do you actually believe. But then if we get like at least a good community, a great environment, supportive environment, but then yeah, we will do great things as well. I believe that's the conclusion that I can conclude for our podcast today. So thank you very much, Faith, for coming to our podcast, and thank you very much, Noven and Bertus as well, for accompanying me. So yeah, this is the end of our podcast. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you.